family-owned shop in Loganville, Soesby's Garage for all your automotive repair needs. We service all makes and models, foreign and domestic. We repair engines, alternators, brakes, alignments, AC systems, and more, using certified technicians with over 90 years of combined experience. We also offer same-day service for some repairs. Soesby's Garage, 200 Bay Creek Road in Loganville. Dependable, honest, and fair. Look us up on Google or Facebook. We'll take good care of you.
Broadcasting live from the Subaru of Gwinnett studio inside the Sonesta Gwinnett Place Atlanta Hotel. It's time for Case in Point, presented by Paradigm Security Services. We are the cornerstone of security in the Southeast.
Hey everybody, I'm your host Rick Strawn, President of Paradigm Security Services, and welcome to Case in Point, presented by Paradigm. We're excited to be with you today on Business RadioX. We are coming to you from the Subaru of Gwinnett studio, located in the beautiful Sonesta Gwinnett Place Atlanta Hotel in Duluth, Georgia. Please hit that subscribe button, if you would, for me, if you want, in whatever podcast platform that you're on. Let me know you're there. I appreciate it. Each week we plan to feature businesses and people in the Atlanta area, especially those that serve in the Gwinnett County area. While all businesses and different formats have security concerns, not all are about physical security, and we'll touch on that and related aspects of security as we go through the course of our show today. Our guests, and I say that plurally this time, kind of interesting individuals. And I'm very happy to have Miss Chunghee Park, who's Vice President of the Korean American Association in Atlanta. Thank you for being here, Chunghee.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
And Dr. Fong, he is an emergency medicine doctor, and I'm sure quite busy.
Quite so. Thank you for inviting me, though.
Hey, I appreciate you coming. I like to always start out with a question because, I'm sure that there's a lot of people that don't know who you are.
Yes.
So let's start with you, Chunghee. Who is Chunghee Park and what got you here?
My name is Chunghee Park. I'm working several different Asian association, the group, but actually I'm right now as the Vice President of the Korean American Association. It's located on the North Cross area. And actually, I'm two daughters' mom, and also I'm teaching the piano. That's my whole life. I focus on the working hard, and also I teach the student, the kid to the adults, and I help with a lot of people too. And so,
where were you born?
I'm born in the Seoul, in Korea, South Korea, of course.
Yeah,
not North Korea.
Yeah, let's keep it South. Welcome to the South, brother.
Oh yeah.
But. How long have you been over here?
Since 1998. That's I started into my music degree.
I'm curious about something. Did you already know the English language over there? Or did you have to learn it?
Actually, I learned in my school in the Korea, but that's not help that much. But that's why I went to the London. And then I study about the music things too, and I learned a little bit about the English over there too.
I've heard English is the hardest language to learn. I'm so glad that I came by it naturally.
No doubt. It's just really hard, but pretty sound. That's the first time I heard in my life, and when I was the 13 or something, I said, "Wow, that pretty sound. What is the language about that?" That's how I want to try to learn the English.
I've never heard that.
It sounds
comment.
So pretty to me,
That's interesting. And Dr. Fong, tell us about you. How'd you get here? Where were you born? All that.
Well, I'm a fourth-generation American of Chinese descent, actually. Not Korean, but Chinese descent. I like to say that I'm part of the old Charlie Chan generation there with all the Charlie Chan movies.
Awesome.
I was probably one of the early Asian immigrant populations that came over here. The first ones were from Canton. And they immigrated. They took advantage of a loophole in the Chinese Exclusion Act. If you owned a business, you could immigrate over. And so about 250 families did. And they migrated to the Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi area, and where we all started. The easiest business to start up were grocery stores for them at that time. So everyone, all my relatives, all the people I came from, all started pretty much all grocery stores. So
So you started in the grocery business and ended up a doctor.
That's right. That's well.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, as a child, I did work in my grandfather's dry goods store. So yes, I did start that way in some ways. Yes.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But it's amazing the way the heritage is with the Chinese and the Korean
Mm-hmm.
communities. It's all so family oriented,
Right.
and it's right where the United States, the Americans used to be, was so family oriented, and that's one of the things that we need to get back to, as far as I'm concerned.
Agreed with that.
Yeah.
So, well, we know how you got here and how your family got here. I know that you're basically here to talk about, in a lot of ways, the Koreans for Trump.
Right.
Mhm.
And I'll say that you're here to talk to Chinese for Trump.
To some
Basically,
degree.
here for the Asians for Trump.
Mhm.
And we have a large Asian population here in Gwinnett County, which
Right.
is just terrific to watch what they do.
Right.
And again, the family orientation is there. What is the Asian population for Gwinnett County?
Actually, the 26.6 in the Gwinnett County, the Asian,
The percent?
right, percent.
Wow.
And as I know, the 240,000 is Indian, and Chinese, as I know, the 120,000, and the Korean population is a similar 124,000 in Gwinnett.
That's a large population within our county, which is
Yes.
like a mosaic anyway. We are so diverse that, I think that bringing in and the relationships I've seen with just the different communities around Gwinnett County in particular, it's been a very interesting. It's been developing. It was slow development to begin with.
Right.
I think there was just a lot of communication issues, a lot, and to a certain extent, a lot of trust issues. And I see that having changed a lot. Do you see that with the county?
Yes, because we work, as you know, the Korean or Asian people is most of the time they cannot speak English, bare of the language things, but we're working hard. And then we want to try to the survivors here, because as you know, we are actually Korean people. We came from the North Korea, South Korea. We know what is the socialism.
Absolutely.
It's, we wanted to the freedom. The freedom is so important. Freedom is not only one generation. We want to do the more next our generation. They wanted the free living in the freedom. That is we wanted why we come the United States. We want to keep it. And then educated my generation too, and so of course in the business too, we want to work together. Everyone, we are open, but sometimes we have a culture issue and the language issue. That's why we have a little bit struggle, but we are open mind.
Well, I totally agree. I've seen that change a lot. Now you bring up an interesting point, because you've lived within the socialistic and communistic type
Right.
format. And we all know where China is in that format.
Yes.
And both of y'all are voting for President Trump.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Can
crazy about him.
Can you see, what do you see with regards to the Democrat position as it is developing, or has developed really over this particular political season?
Yeah, you know what? They announced to the people, the young generation, free. It's, as you know,
Nothing's free.
nothing is free. Someone has to pay that for. Someone has to pay. That's the young generation has to realize it. No free. We have to working hard, and then we have to share, but it's not the free. You know what I'm saying? And then also, we're gonna be they're gonna be saying the free education. No, working hard get the scholarship. It's not the free. That I want to teach them my kids, and I'm teaching, of course, the piano. But why they're gonna be do the extra activity? Please develop your talent and show the people, and then working together. It's not the free. They have to working hard, of course. Yes.
Absolutely.
It's all about Americanism versus socialism there. I think that's what's happening is Trump is preserving Americanism and traditional American values and that sort of stuff. The free enterprise system and preserving competition. I like to say that life is all about incentives, and you've got to be provided incentives to do things, and that's what we have seen how free enterprise has so richly benefited our society, has caused so many things to be developed, innovated, invented here in the United States that really no other country can really match. And that's because of our environment, of our free enterprise that encourages innovation, thinking, and that sort of thing. And it's being threatened by people that want to just adhere to one line of thought and not have the arena of ideas which we have had before.
Well, you've seen the development in those countries of censorship and the way the socialistic idea develops. And from what I see, and tell me if I'm wrong, that is very much the direction that I see this going, especially if you notice now with the censorship of ideas that don't agree with you or ideas you don't like.
Agreed. This is a lot like the Cultural Revolution that China did to squash all their opposition there. Exactly. And it's very scary to see it happening to come to America so easy and rapidly here that I'm seeing here. That's quite concerning. That's why I'm an activist.
Totally agree.
At this time, as you know, last night I talked to my friends, and Trump gonna be the middle class, tax reduce. The Joe Biden gonna be increased $4.3 billion. It's not a million, billion. I'm small business owners. We don't want to the harder time. We don't want to close the business again. I wanted to open the school, and the student needed to go to school. It's not only the knowledge one. They need the social work
and that interaction.
Yes, that's I wanted to everyone. That's just maybe this point in time, and we have to realize it. Who gonna be pick up the right leader for us?
No,
yes.
Totally agree. It has to be looked. I recommend, and we talked about it earlier. I always recommend that people definitely vote.
Yes.
Regardless of which side you're on, vote.
Yes.
What I do strongly recommend in
person
is basically you do it in person, but do it informed.
Right.
Know what you're voting for, who you're voting for.
Yes.
Look, do your own research, because if you don't do your research, and all you do is you listen to one of the news medias or something like that, the chances are just about zero that you're going to get the full story on either side. So what you need to do is take a look at the two people running. Let's just pick Trump and Biden, and go out and actually do your research of what they have shown that they do in the past.
Right.
And especially if you're looking in the political field, what have they done since they've been in the political field? Trump, you basically got 4 years to look at. That's all he's been in the political field. Biden, you got 47 years to look at. That's how long he's been.
47?
Look at all of it. He's been out there in politics longer than some of my grandkids or some of my kids have been alive. And it's just one of those things where you got to look, you got to research, you got to study. Don't vote a particular way because your mom did, or your dad did, or your grandmom, or your great-grandmom, or your brother, or your
by mail
whatever.
Is not.
Don't vote that way.
Agreed. You just have to check your sources all the time. That's because sources are. I just don't trust any source anymore. I have to double check every source that I read. Basically,
No,
it takes
absolutely.
a little effort, but I think it's well worth understanding what the real situation is. I think you get a better sense of that then.
As I know, the 2016 and then right now 2002, and the poll is going to be saying that the Asian people, the vote is only the 18 in Korean people. Right now it's only the 26 increase. They're going to be wanted to vote out, and the Vietnamese is like the 26 right now, 48% increase. They wanted to vote.
Great.
So this is really I'm focused on whole the nation, but in Gwinnett County, they increase that they wanted to go out the vote there, keep their voice and their right.
Well, I love to see. I went and voted yesterday. Didn't spend a lot of time, but it had been steady.
Yeah.
We talked to them. They said it had been steady all day. They'd love to see that. They loved seeing the turnout. So the turnout has been very large so far. And I can imagine what it's going to be like when the last few days of early voting are here. It's going to be those 2-hour waits and stuff like that, which I'm sorry, but unless it's the only chance, I'm not going to wait for 2 hours to vote. I'll pick my time. But the important thing is getting out there and getting it done.
Right.
What do the Asian values really have in common with the Republican values?
Well, I think they're basically really family oriented. I think we both have commonality with strong families make strong societies, and I think those are common Republican values there. I think if you look at some of the extreme left things, they're actually talking about diminishing or extinguishing the nuclear family. That's just beyond my comprehension. Particularly in Chinese culture, you basically have a special term for every relative. You know their exact relationship to you. That's happened over centuries, I guess, though. But so Chinese culture brings that to the family. I bet Korean culture is about similar as well there. So we believe in the extended family. We had our extended families have been very strong in the past. We support each other, know each other, help each other out.
But I bet you still have family members that don't vote the same way.
No, there's a lot of diversity in voting, and
Exactly.
it's regional and that sort of thing. Yes, it is.
Well, and that's what the country's about. You know,
Right.
you can have the same culture, the same people, and different approaches and different views and different thoughts, and then they vote their own mind. You know, it depends on how much research they've done. If they've done enough research, they vote the right way. Just kidding, folks. But then again, I'm not. But how did you become Republican? I mean, how were you that you started thinking that this is the way I want to vote?
In my case, this is only my personal case, because I live in my country, and I'm not interested in politics at all. And I move down here, move over here, the United States. I got some meeting. She invited me the more get to know the English the American people or whatever things. That's why I think this is an awesome idea. And I went there. The impressive thing is they're gonna be any kind of issue they're gonna be shared in the local one. That's why I said, wow, they really care about the the people each other. Oh, that's why I want to study more. I want to join this group, and I want to learn and share the other people thing. The Korean community, we think is we just think a little bit sometimes they're gonna be maybe separate. They make it the wall each other. That's why I said I have to break that wall, and then we're gonna be communicate. That's why I said maybe using maybe religion, church or something, or issue what the people needed. That's the issue is a lot of going on the issue like school issue or the business tax issue or the safety issue. That's a whole in the Republican. They care about that one. That's why I said okay, I'll study myself and listen them in the meeting. And so that's why I said okay, the example is like the abortion. I got the 2 daughters, right? And so really, really important. That is my kid. I'm teaching them. And so everything like that, something kind of that issue is really impressive. And I really want to teach my kids, 2 daughters. That's that point I thought, okay, I have to be the Republican.
Yeah, if you're staunchly against things like abortion, you're not going to find your way to the Democrat Party. It amazes me and it boggles my mind how someone can be, let's say, a pastor, and they believe that that it's okay to have just basically right up to the last moment abortion. I mean, to birth abortion, and I don't know. It just in my mind, to me, that's just homicide. I mean,
that's just anathema to me.
Murder.
I mean,
Right.
you have a fetus that is capable of living outside the body after a certain period of time, and you still want to abort. That's just a late term abortion is murder.
Yeah,
for
murder.
sure.
and you're a doctor, so
Yes.
you see a lot of this stuff that
All
goes
that
on.
hurts. Yes, it's all. I see a lot of. I see every facet of society there. The good, the affluent, the poor. Yeah, I see everybody. Yeah.
Well, and it is a big issue. I think it's one of the biggest issues, the most controversial issue. Why it's the most controversial, only God knows. But, for me, I don't see the controversy in it. You either believe in life or you don't. And I totally agree with it. It's a woman's body, but somewhere along the way, once that's developed, it's also someone else's.
Yes.
So you have to give them the opportunity. They don't get a chance to make their choice.
And there's so many opportunities for adoption and that sort of thing. There many couples would love to have a child. They cannot have a child.
Absolutely.
Many.
Absolutely. There's well, we'll move on to another topic.
Yes.
When you talk about voting for Trump, I know a lot of times you have to really work to get the message out. What are you doing to help get that message out into the Asian community, but into the whole community as a whole?
I do the door knocking as I can, the 4 hours, 2 hours per day, and I can visit the people and they share the information and I remind the people the early vote in October 30, or you can do the November 3rd. And of course, I just sometimes I want to share what they're thinking and then how they get the information. They have a question about the vote or something, and I'm saying to the Trump is 2006 in 4 years, he worked every day. He's worked 4 years every day, work for us. This time we have to fight for him. There's a time that your turn, my turn, and so we have to do it for him. And then of course that's is a strong message to the people.
No, absolutely. How about you, Doctor?
Well, I think Chunghee's right. We've been doing a lot of outreach. We've been going out through. There's actually a well-developed Korean media. There's actually some Chinese media outside. There's it's amazing. I had before I met Chunghee, I really didn't know it was so developed. But there's a lot of that. So there's a lot of Chinese language, a lot of Korean language things to break the barriers down. But we just need to be more visible, more present, get our message out, and I think that will happen. What has happened here in the past is that as people immigrate over here, you have all these left-leaning nonprofit organizations that approach them first, welcome them in, and that sort of thing. And actually, that's one of our goals is to have a higher percentage of nonprofits that welcome in the immigrants and the new populations to the area that can introduce them and make it understood that there are conservative values that would be in their service too, that they don't have to go Democrat. Asians used to be 80-20 Republican. They used to be back in the 80s. They have switched to about 50-50 in the 90s, and now they're probably 80-20.
Why would you say that is?
I think it's mostly because of the welcoming, the contact that these organizations make with them, and they probably. My thought is that the biggest thing that convinces them is the perceived discrimination issue there. And I think that's what it is more than anything else. I think if we can show them that really the Republicans do not stand for discrimination at all.
Absolutely.
We want an equal playing field so that groups are not discriminated against. And actually, I'm really not into identity politics,
Exactly.
But I feel like we have to use a little identity counter revolutionary tactics against the left here. So that's why we're part of Georgia Korean American Republicans here, and that's why we're trying to get the word out as a counter narrative to the left. It's important to do. So but normally Republicans, we look at each other as people first, and their abilities first, and then their skin color later. Much later. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So.
And I have friends that are just across the spectrum, and I look at them all as people. They're just another one of God's people, and there's just so much that's not done that. You look back at the history on, since we're talking Republican Democrats, you look back on the history of the Democrats, you can see all kinds of the opposite on that side, which it's amazing to me how that just kind of gets forgotten or covered. Or
absolutely, I would encourage people to watch Dinesh D'Souza films to try to get a background of what the Cliff Notes version of what happened with Democratic history and their and a lot of the racist tinge that They were they formed the KKK was an outgrowth of the Democrat
Right.
Party.
Right.
Was Jim
Antifa.
Crow. All Jim Crow was from the Democrat Party. A much higher percentage of Republicans voted for the Civil Rights Act.
Absolutely.
It would not have gotten passed without Republicans. But somehow the Democrats have just co-opted the message there. So it'd be interesting for your listeners to, if they're not aware of that, to do a little study there.
Yeah, I totally agree that we need to do a better job of reaching out at the initial phase as conservatives. And, we have a tendency to welcome them, but then give them a hand when they need it rather than just reaching out and giving them a hand out.
Right. Well, I would like to say that what brought me into the fold as an activist was in 2018 when we lost the 6th congressional district and almost lost the 7th. I said, well, the 6th district is a Republican stronghold. Why did that happen? So I started saying I better go and help out. And so when I went and joined the local party there, the Cobb County Republican Party and Gwinnett Republican Party, they have been very welcoming for us Asians. Particularly, both have been, but Gwinnett is so diverse. The Gwinnett County Republican Party is extremely diverse. You can find it's just like a little slice of Gwinnett County there with the diversity that's there, pretty much. Cobb County has been very welcoming. They let me speak on occasion. They let me be highly involved with their activities. I feel like I'm a useful part. So I would say that those people that are interested to know more about Republicans, the principles and things like that, if you want to find the acid test, go join one of their, go to their Republican meetings, the breakfasts. Both Gwinnett and Cobb are usually the first Saturday of every month, and go there and see what the people are like and see if they welcome you.
It's a part of that investigation and research that you do to see what. It's not all about what people say; it's what do they do.
Yes,
and when you meet them face to face and you interact with people, that is so much better than listening to what people tell you they believe or what they say. A lot of times they believe.
Yeah, actions mean so much more than words.
Right.
Yes,
absolutely.
Right.
Well, I'd be negligent if you're on here if I didn't ask you. There's been so much hype and foul stuff said about Trump's approach to this COVID-19. You're a doctor. You're in the emergency field, and I know you see it every day. What do you think about his approach?
Well, I think that there's one basic difference. I think the deal is that we have one group of people trying to find solutions, trying to find answers, trying to actually do the work to solve the problem. We have another group that's just whining, moaning, wanting to shut the economy down, wanting to keep people locked away, wanting to take advantage of the situation to increase their hold of governmental power over people, and that's the way I see it. We're looking for answers, and I'm scientific based, so I look at the data. I say, show me the data, show me a paper that proves this, show me a paper that proves that, and I will incorporate it. And I think we have some answers already out there. We won't go into that, but
sure.
I think there's some good therapeutic answers already out there that I do. All my outpatients get better, and there's more stuff coming along. There's all this other therapeutics and the vaccine. So this is going to be a game changer here within a very few months.
A lot of people don't stop to think that, because there's so much hype about it, and they seem to put this on the low backside of the hype. This is something that was totally new, totally unknown. We started from scratch. There was no. It should have been done different. Hindsight is wonderful.
We've done so much innovation here with this particular virus here. We've done so much response. It's really been quite amazing to see a public-private partnership, to see industry mobilized greatly for response. It's largely, if I would think, I would think of, this needs to be done, or that thing needs to be done. And sooner or later, that would be within a week or two, they would start working on that issue there. So I think they were basically on the right track there. We may have been given some bad information early on about some things, and certainly the virus has changed too. I think it's probably attenuating some, but
Yep.
but it's a dynamic situation in there. We're not quite finished with the story yet.
No, I totally agree.
I'm saying, I'm thinking because I know the COVID-19 is dangerous, to certain people, but I don't want to people too much scared about that and do the nothing. This important everything, take care of the family and outside, and we have to go out. And then, but we know we learn a lot of things right now from the start, the March or something right now. And so we have to trust other people say it. Why don't you try this one? It's going to be okay. We have to follow that one too.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to educate my kids and the young generation. Okay, you have to do this one and you're going to be fine. And how going to be, handle that things. Of course, maybe future we have more dangerous or the more dangerous disease coming to us. We don't know, but the important thing is how do we going to be overcome? How do we going to be together, and then we're going to be do the good well things.
Yeah.
That is important, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're starting to get some information that the hard lockdown was more dangerous in some ways than the actual disease there. So I think we need to really look at everything together, all the risks of everything, and try to make some good judgments based on all the evidence, that the real risks that are happening to people, rather than just a bunch of pundits saying this, that, and rhetorical things. We need data there.
Well, in the beginning, we were, even the doctors were reaching for straws. They were just grabbing every straw that looked like a good thing because we had nothing.
We were given bad data there. I think they were saying initially that steroids were bad, and now we know they're good.
They're good.
Yeah, so
That's because they didn't know, but they were making decisions.
Either that, or you're being deceived a little.
Yep.
So
yeah, that's very true. I guess I could talk to y'all all day long.
Yes.
It's very interesting. And what is? Let me ask you just a couple of last questions. Mainly one. Why is Gwinnett County such a large draw for Koreans and for Asians in Georgia?
As you know, the Asian people is more the moving, and the Georgia, actually the Gwinnett County, they have everything in here. See, you can go to Korean restaurant, Chinese restaurant, Vietnamese, or all the Asian. We have a lot of in there.
Do you have a lot of markets?
Right, markets. As you know, that we have 4 Korean markets, and then Vietnamese has 2 or 3, and Chinese 2. And also we have everything in here. The education is good, right? The people think about best one, and also all the convenience. The market, or if you wanted the hair salon, the piece, the hospital, or they have all the Korean the stuff that there. So you don't need necessarily the two hard language you have to do. And so that's why the Gwinnett is really important to the Asian. They wanted to come Georgia. They want to visit the Gwinnett County first, and so we have to build together, and then we have to make it leadership to the young generation, how to volunteer and how to work in the Gwinnett County back or something. We have to teach it how to the volunteer in their young age time, and so that's why the Gwinnett County has a lot of opportunity and then good chance to settle.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Your
I'm
thoughts?
not really sure what initially brought in all the Asians into Gwinnett County, but it certainly has been a literal explosion since the 2000 or so. It's just changed so dramatically there. I remember when I was used to be the only Asian in a class. I would go to Vanderbilt. I'd go, and there are three Asian females on campus. I know because I used to check them out. That's all I could find.
You knew every one of them.
I was just there just were not many Asians there at all. So, but this is a different world now.
Right.
So, but Chunghee's right. There's just so much now. There's just so much to offer. They have the best Korean food here. It's just world class with anything.
Fantastic.
The Chinese food here is just absolutely world class. It's as good as any other major city around. And there's this. If you're looking to explore either Korean, Chinese, Asian culture of any type, Vietnamese, there's significant elements of all that. There are probably cultural centers for each of those groups around there easily. I know that I know of. So it's an interesting journey if people want to get to know the Asian cultures over here. And I'm being an American of 4th generation there. I don't speak the language here, but I do like it, and it's been a good journey getting to know all these different cultures here.
So you can put that in your bucket list. You can learn your home language.
We're actually working on it now.
God bless you. I'm just going to stick to English. I find it very easy for me. If someone wanted to get a hold of either one of y'all to ask you any questions about developing their community, working with their community, wanted to ask you some specific questions about maybe why they should vote for Trump and in that area, or what's the differences. Have you got some numbers here? Chunghee, do you have a number that you'd like to give out, or a website?
Yeah, 678-760-2676. And that is my personal things, but that I can anytime open my phone, and then if you have questions. And of course, I'm gonna be into it. We have Korean people has 7 medias, the one TV, one radio station, and the other the newspaper and the internet newspaper too. And so I have all connection. And so if you call me, my number is 678-760-2676, and so I'm gonna help you.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
I am the coordinator for the Georgia Korean American Republicans, and so we have a Facebook website. You feel free to look at that, Georgia GA Korean American Republicans, and we'll be glad to get you into that. Alternatively, if you're not of Korean descent, we have there's a Georgia Chinese American Republican group, and if you message me on Facebook, Fong, then I will be glad to get you brought into the Chinese American Republican group. And if you're not either of those, then I would join either the Gwinnett County Republicans or the Cobb County Republicans, or your local county Republican Party there, and try it for yourself. See it.
Absolutely. One quick question, then I'm gonna close out. You mentioned there's a lot of Korean, a lot of Chinese, a lot of Asian media around Gwinnett County and everything. Do you find them to be more even or balanced or liberal or conservative? Do you find that they follow the stream like the normal media does, and being very liberal, or are they pretty balanced?
Liberal.
They are liberal.
They tend to be liberal there, but I think they don't. I think it's because they've been mismarketed there. I think that they don't. If they understood that their cultural values and which side of that both the parties sit on, then I think they would probably be more conservative if they understood that.
Well, see, that's your next job. Y'all get out there and get a hold of
that's what we're working on.
The Asian media and
Yes.
and make them understand that there is a balance here, and they need to find it fair and balanced, as they say. Well, thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
On Case in Point, presented by Paradigm Concert. So, remember that you can join us live every Wednesday at 11:30 in the morning, or you can listen to our radio show anytime you like by going to businessradiox.com, clicking on Gwinnett Studio, and then click on, of course, Case in Point. Be sure when you go to hit that subscribe button for me. Let me know you're there. It really helps me out. Join us next week at 11:30 when we will talk with business leaders about their businesses related to security issues in today's world. Thanks again to my two guests, Chunghee Park, Vice President, Korean American Association of Atlanta, and Dr. Fong, Emergency Medicine, and you said the President of
the Georgia Korean American Republicans.
There you go. Again, thank you very much to my producers as well, Mike and Amanda. I'm Rick Strawn, and remember, at Paradigm Security Services, we cover more than just your assets.